For this week's devotion, I actually want us to go back to Sunday, September 13th, when we discussed the Syrophoenician woman. We discussed how that woman was desperate for help. She became one of those who live out the old saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. We've all known or heard about people taking desperate measures. Maybe sometimes you've been that person where just getting someone's attention is half the battle. If someone just knew what was going on, then maybe they'd do something about it, right? We sometimes feel that way about God. In Matthew 15, the Syrophoenician woman was worried about her daughter, and she needed to get Jesus' attention. When her cries went unanswered, she decided that desperate times call for desperate measures, and so she ran up in front of the crowd, knelt down before Jesus, and begged, "Lord, help me." Even when Jesus initially shrugged off helping her, she persisted and said, "All I'm asking for is a few crumbs from your table." Have you ever been worried about one of your children? Ever spent a long night on your knees about someone who was in pain? Ever sat for hours looking out the window waiting on a loved one to make it home? Desperate times may call sometimes for desperate measures, but truly desperate times always call for Jesus. That is where we go for help.
In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. This cornerstone, this solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are stilled, when striving cease. My comforter, my all in all, here in the love of Christ I stand.
I recently read about 8-year-old Walter Davis, who was playing baseball one day when his legs became limp as spaghetti and collapsed beneath him on the ground. This was years ago, before Jonas Salk had discovered the vaccine, when the childhood disease of polio was crippling children across the land. There's still no cure for this dreaded disease, though it's been nearly eradicated in the Western world by vaccines. Walter's diagnosis from the doctors was that he had polio and that he would never walk again. Now that's devastating news, obviously, but it's not the end of the story. A visitor from a church knelt by Walter's bed one day and prayed for Walter and encouraged him to have faith that God could help him walk again. Walter's mother gave him similar encouragement. She began to work on his legs. Therapy and exercise began to take effect, and almost miraculously, Walter learned to walk again. But that wasn't enough for Walter. He set a goal for himself not only to walk, not only to run, but a goal for himself to break the world record for the high jump. It seemed impossible, but guess what? The time came when Walter Davis entered the Olympics and broke all records for the high jump. That Syrophoenician mother, like Walter Davis's mother, dared to believe the impossible, that her daughter could be healed. She believed that all she needed was for Jesus to say the word. So maybe you can't take your child physically or physically take your need to Jesus, but you can go to him. You can plead with him, and you can trust him.
In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God in helpless pain, this gift of love and righteousness, scorned by the ones he came to save, till on that cross as Jesus died, the wrath of God was satisfied, for every sin on him was laid. Here in the death of Christ I live.
So for us as Christ Church, those who've been coming to Jesus for years, who do our best to stay close to God and serve him well, there's a message for you, for us. Desperate times call for desperate measures. But things are desperate not only in the lives of those out in the world. The church, having seen decades of decline in Europe and America, much of today's church is in a desperate time. So let's go back for a moment to our origins. In Matthew 16, only one chapter after Jesus went to Tyre and Sidon and met the Syrophoenician woman, that's when Jesus mentions the word church for the first time in the Old and New Testaments. Jesus never told the world to go to the church, but he told the church to go to the world. If Christ's church will again start taking that responsibility seriously, if we will get ourselves out into the world, acting as if we are desperate to get Christ's love to those who don't know it, we might find ourselves being healed again like the Syrophoenician woman's daughter. We might find ourselves walking again like Walter Davis, maybe even find ourselves fueled by joy to leap like Walter Davis in ways that the world has not seen in a long time. Heaven knows the world needs it. Heaven knows the church needs it. Desperate times do call for desperate measures. We hope you'll join us for worship here at Dixon First Methodist.
There in the ground his body lay, light of the world by darkness slain, then bursting forth in glorious day, up from the grave he rose again, and as he stands in victory, sin's curse has lost its grip on me, for I am his and he is mine, bought with the precious blood of Christ. No guilt in life, no fear in death, this is the power of Christ in me, from life's first cry to final breath, Jesus commands my destiny. No power of hell, no scheme of man can ever pluck me from his hand till he returns or calls me home, here in the power